Hey, welcome to this week's episode of Contrails and Cocktails. Our guest this week is Jeffrey Menaged, the CEO and founder of Chief Executive Air. And just three quick things about Jeffrey. He makes aviation work from a business perspective. He's innovative and open-minded, and he is also a great networker. So we're going to hear a lot about that in this episode. Three quick things about Mark Perry, who is the host of Contrails and Cocktails. We met Mark through Jeremy Cox. If you know Jeremy, which everybody knows Jeremy Cox, or knew Jeremy Cox, he passed away earlier this year, but was one of the great networkers in the industry that knew everybody and made a great effort to make those connections and to really help everyone succeed. And I think Mark has a lot of those same qualities, but he's like as different as a person from Jeremy as you could expect any two people to be. Still amazing. So Mark is very precise and exacting in his expectations. He can spot a typo a million miles away, and he can see a problem coming a million miles away. And he's also a great connector. He's referred a lot of people to us and to the Organization of Flying Adjusters. And he was smart enough to start this podcast as a way to network in the industry. And of course, I'm Paula Williams with ABCI. We help aviation companies sell more of their products and services. And we do that through excellent, deep, thoughtful, helpful content that I think we get better than any of the other marketing agencies in this space. So now you know the players. Let's dive into the conversation. Well, welcome to this week's episode, Contrails and Cocktails. And I'm Paula Williams with ABCI. We help aviation companies sell more of their products and services.
Mark Perry with Global Aircraft Group, certified aircraft appraisals for financial, IRS, legal cases, expert witness. Also, Organization Flying Adjusters. I do insurance adjusting in aviation, and then also maintenance oversight, pre-buys, etc. on business jets.
Do you have any specific aircraft type that you specialize in?
Well, my background was on Challengers. So I spent a lot. I worked. I was at Bombardier for a long time.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Challengers.
Really well, but then when I went into appraising, I started appraising general aviation aircraft, and so now I have a really good feel. When you appraise, you start doing the general aviation stuff, so it really broadens your horizon on and your expertise, etc.
Very cool.
But I prefer to be in the business jet realm. That's my background.
That's very cool. So my name is Jeffrey Menaged, and the name of my company is Chief Executive Air, and I help people buy, sell, and own private jets. So what a typical engagement looks like is we deal with primarily high net worth and ultra high net worth individuals and mid to large size corporations that use private aviation services. They're considering buying a jet. They're not sure if it makes sense for them, what kind of jet they need, how much it will cost. So I come in, we do a needs assessment, we sort of figure out what their typical travel pattern and profile looks like. We make some recommendations on specific aircraft that would meet their needs. Then we show them a couple of budgets. One is what an acquisition would cost. The other is what the plane would cost to operate on an ongoing basis. And if they decide that it's something they want to go ahead with, then we go ahead into the market, find them a plane. We can do everything from tender an offer, negotiate a contract, oversee the pre-purchase and the delivery. And then the goal is to maintain a relationship with the owner post-closing, where we manage the asset on the owner's behalf on a day-to-day basis. We have partnerships with a couple of licensed, like full-size management companies and licensed air carriers. And so we put the plane for the most part into charter programs. The owners fly between 100 and 200 hours a year.
Oh, wow.
Charter offsets a big percentage of their fixed costs so that when they fly, it costs them closer to their direct operating costs. And we manage the plane as a business on a day-to-day basis to make sure that the decisions that are made with regard to operations represent the best interests of the owner and not necessarily the best interest. And so right now I have a fleet of 6 planes that I do this on. We have a Hawker 900 XP. We have 2 Challenger 604s and then 3 Gulfstreams, a G400, a G5, and a G5. And I've been aviation for over 20 years. I've been on this end of the business for about 7. And it's something that I enjoy, good at, I think.
Great. Apparently your clients think so.
Yeah. Well, I haven't gotten fired by any of them yet, so I must be doing a good job. That's usually a good barometer.
So have you seen, like, in the last couple of years that the demographics of people seeking plane ownership or seeking charter has changed? You're getting a lot of first-time charterers or first-time buyers.
So on the buy side, I deal primarily with first-time buyers.
Okay.
Because where I provide the most benefit is for someone who doesn't really know how much it costs to own or operate a plane. So whoever already owns the plane kind of knows from personal experience. But there are certain projects that we brought in where people think it costs them too much and their operations are running efficiently, and we could certainly issue an opinion and give them some pointers.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's first-time buyers. On the charter side, I could say that during 2021 through to 2022, we saw a tremendous influx of new customers, primarily looking to charter because that's the easiest entry-level way to get on a private jet. And what we found is that those people that were new to the market that came, out of either convenience or fear of, not wanting to go through a regular airport, we found that for the most part, they plan to continue using private aviation services. It may not be something that they use every time they travel, but certainly on occasions where it makes sense, I think that the market has expanded to a broader footprint of customers. And it's just a natural progression of, like you start chartering and then it works out and you charter more. And then eventually you're chartering so much, you're like, well, why don't I buy a plane? And then that's where you start to look at fractions and whole aircraft ownership and jet cards and a bunch of different other ways to purchase the service. We've definitely seen a big expansion in our base, and we expect it to continue.
Yeah, they say everything sounds like a luxury until you've tried it once.
Right.
And then once you've tried it once, you can't go back. I don't
know if you've ever been on a Lear 35, but out of all the adjectives you would use to describe that experience, luxurious is definitely not one of them.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a small jet. The cabin height is 4'6". You have to literally crawl to get into the lavatory. And it's more about convenience, than anything else.
Yeah, that's true.
It's people. Where do you live, Paula? Where are you based?
Salt Lake City.
Salt Lake City. You happen to live in a city that has a tremendous airport, which is a major international hub. And you could probably go anywhere in a direct flight in the United States of America and most places in the world. But people that don't live close to a hub usually have to take 2 flights to go somewhere relatively close.
That's true.
If you're going from, Missouri to Nebraska, drive maybe 6 hours. By the time you fly and connect and get through the airports, it may be 8. But if you're on a private plane, it would take you like an hour. So in those instances, smaller aircraft makes sense because it's more about saving time. And that's really, more applicable to people that major metropolitan areas who don't have access to it. But it's not always about luxury. A lot of times it's just about, managing your time and reliability and, ease of travel.
Yeah.
If you have a 1-hour meeting and it's either a 6-hour flight or an 8-hour drive away, you're probably you're probably going to avoid taking that meeting. Yeah, you'll try and do a Zoom or you'll try and do a phone call or something to slap the meeting. But
Yeah, that's for
at a
sure.
plane, you had a plane, all of a sudden that 1 hour meeting makes sense because, you know, you could be an hour and a half before your meeting, get there and come back, dinner, kind of thing. So, you know, using private aviation services definitely makes the world a lot smaller.
Mm-hmm.
It makes a lot more places more accessible.
Yeah.
And it's something that, you know, depending on, you know, your station, it's not necessarily a luxury. It's a tool that you use to make better use of your time.
Yeah.
People say that, you know, the talk about resource scarcity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at some point, everyone comes back to, well, you know, the most scarce resource is time.
Yeah.
And the only way to increase the amount of time you have is to spend less time doing incidental tasks
Right.
like traveling, right?
Mhm.
So the traveling is beautiful. It's the getting there that takes the
Exactly.
time.
And a lot of people, you know, they have fewer employees than they would like to have at this point, especially, you know, the skilled engineers and other folks. They need to get them someplace. You can make more use of the time of the people that you have and make them happier, have them have a better work-life balance with, even if they do have to climb into a Lear 35, they
Lear
would much
35.
rather do that and
Exactly.
get things
I
done,
mean,
get home to their kids, right?
yeah. You know, the other thing is that it's, you know, it's a relatively simple exercise to do.
Yeah.
So, you know, typically it's easy to figure out what value of someone's time is, especially in the context of work, because you can, you know, take their annual salary, divide it by the number of hours they work, and that gives you a value per hour. So, you know, someone who's making, you know, a reasonable, normal person's salary, you know, their time has a certain value. But if you have the CEO of a big company that's making $3 million a year, well, that's $250,000 a month. It's $50,000 a week, and you know, it's about, you know, $1,500 an hour.
Yeah.
So if you have him and his top executives traveling, you may have $10,000 an hour worth of payroll.
Yeah.
You can afford to have sitting in an airport because there's no privacy. They can't conduct other business while they're there. Sort of dead time. But if you had a, you know, plane, either a charter or a company plane, you can make use of that time. They could meet, they could discuss strategy for the meeting that they're going to. They don't have to worry about anyone, you know, listening or overhearing what they're saying. It becomes a lot more of a productive experience. The actual flight becomes part of the work.
Right. That's true. Yeah. Have you
Great.
been doing more of the small planes like the Lears and the King Airs and things like that because of the change in the economy, or what's your thought about that?
Actually, I was going to mention that because I did a Falcon 900. It was last September, a year ago, September, when they caught, you know, the jet market was still
Hot.
You know what I'm saying? It was exaggerated.
Yeah.
Whatever word you want to use. And it was an older model, but they had done a lot of work to it. The interior. It was like a brand new Falcon 900. It wasn't on an engine program because of its age. And it was a struggle to get a number for that aircraft. It was, you know, built in the early 90s.
Wow.
But when I went into the comps for that specific time, I was, you know, when you put everything together, you know, during the analysis process, then the different databases that I have, my own proprietary database, then, you know, the number shows for that current market, and it was pretty high, higher than I actually thought before I started.
What'd you come up with? Well, we don't have the serial number, so we don't know what plane you're talking about, so it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
It was
You can tell us the price of the serial number, but not both.
It was close to 5 million.
Yeah. Nice.
Believe it or not. And there were aircraft with comps at that time that were even higher asking prices for similar aircraft.
Right. Well, a similar aircraft with an engine program would have a much higher comp because the engine is it's a liability.
Yeah.
Exactly. Although I crunched the numbers on what the engines were worth, it had core zone inspections and all that stuff. that had been completed. I think it was on one engine anyway. But so yeah, it takes a little bit of analysis to get to come in with a reasonable number, the actual number.
People think they're buying an airplane with two engines, but they're really buying two engines with an airplane attached to it.
That's true. That's true.
Well, you sound like a GE guy.
Let me tell you something. Those guys make amazing engines. They're incredible.
They do. When I was at Bombardier, the GE rep at the facility used to say literally that word for word. He goes, "Yeah, we don't care what your airplane is.
We just power it."
Yeah.
We can make
especially on the Challenger series. The engines on the Challenger series are incredible.
Yes, they are. And I'm dating myself, but I started out as a mechanic on the 5023C Avco Lycoming engine.
Yeah. What were those on a Challenger 600?
It was, yeah. It was the very beginning of when it was Canadair as a mechanic. Yeah, I was able to provide for my family on all those engine changes.
Yeah.
And the other
big job. Engine change is a big job. We had one of the engines on one of our Challengers had to go in for a shop visit. And I remember the maintenance director called me up and said, "You're not going to believe this, but like there was a couple of parts missing." I'm like, "Well, how can we continue? Like, how are we flying the engine with part missing?" And he said, "Oh, the GE guy was laughing. He said ours wasn't even in bad shape. He said they've seen engines that come in with missing fan blades and they still run like no problem."
Oh,
which is incredible.
Yeah,
it's absolutely incredible. That engine is just it's a miracle. It's incredible how durable it is, how efficient it is, how well it runs, how many things could go wrong, and it still runs and produces power, and you don't have a problem. Right? Mm-hmm. It's incredible.
Well, after their experience with the that Avco engine, which was it had been a tank engine, and then they made it a turbofan to it, and basically experimented with it on the Challenger. It was just underpowered, but that TF-34 engine on the Challengers is also on the A-10 Warthog.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, that engine was had been highly tested by the U.S. military. It was also on, I forget it's a Lockheed aircraft, but it was a sub chaser that they used to use, and it was on that military aircraft also. So,
well, they got it right. That's for sure.
Right, that one.
Like, just to put it into perspective, we have engine programs on all the planes that we operate because the engine liability can exceed a couple of $1 million, and nobody wants to really take it. So, just in terms of the cost per hour, like the engines on the Challenger, the hourly cost for an insurance program is, somewhere around $300 an hour. On a Rolls-Royce engine that's on a Gulfstream, it's around $650, $700.
Yeah.
So it's more than double the cost per hour to pay into the maintenance protection plan for different engines. The lowest cost engine program around is on that TFE-34 engine built by General Electric.
Wow.
And it's a testament to how little maintenance that it needs because they need to cover that cost. So they can afford to charge a lot less because it needs a lot less maintenance because the engine's more durable. It's incredible.
How's that compared to like the Rolls-Royce engine that they've got on the Global Expresses and such?
So those are around, between $550 and $750 per engine per hour, depending on the contract, how old it is, how many hours you do a year. The contracts eventually renew. If you have one, they're not going to cancel you ever because they can't. But just in terms of, what they try and get you in, there was a big bump, I think, last year because of the supply chain issues and inflation and escalating costs. So there was an outsized increase in the hourly rate on engines in general. But it's the GE engine on a Challenger is about half of the Rolls-Royce engine that's on a Global 1000, maybe a little bit less than half.
Wow.
Yeah.
So to take kind of a left-hand turn on you, Jeff, you were featured in Scott Manthorn's book, The Network Effect.
Yes, I was.
Out this year, right?
Yes.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about that? How did that happen? Were you friends already, or did
So
that?
Scott has been a very dear friend for a very, very long time.
Uh-huh.
I probably know him about 15 years. And his thing has always been networking.
Yeah.
Over the years, he's had a million different variations of networking groups. And one day he decided he was going to write a book.
Hmm.
So he called me up and he said, I need a favor. I said, Scott, for you, anything. He said, I want you to be featured in my book. I said, what's the book about? He said, it's about networking and time management and all that kind of stuff. I
Yeah.
said, it'll be my pleasure. So he did a quick interview. And I think that was the format of the book. It was mostly best practices from, his best practices, and then just different thoughts from a bunch of different business people
Yeah.
on his network. It was a lot of fun. It was a fun project. He's actually kept everybody that was in the book together. He does these groups. Like once a month, he'll just do like an open Zoom. And whoever
Oh,
was
wow.
featured in the book, whoever was featured in the book gets an invitation. It's just talking, networking, saying hi, telling people what you do, see if there's any synergies.
Yeah.
So he turned the book about networking into a networking group.
That's so meta. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
so yeah,
yeah.
you got into that project because you were a networker, and then that is improving your network, and it's just like an exponential sort of a deal, right?
All right. I don't know if I'm a good networker though. I'm typically when I walk into a room, I can't wait to leave. I don't know anybody. I'm a little, introverted when I go into new
Yeah.
environments. And so, it's a funny story. The first time I actually did a networking thing, I had gone to a bunch of events and I was like in and out in 5 minutes because I was like, oh, I don't know anybody. I'm not going to just stand there in the corner. I did that a few
Yeah.
times and it was very frustrating. So, like about 15 years ago, at the time, Forbes magazine was still a force in the publishing market. And so they used to do these conferences where they were like investor conferences. They used to do them twice a year, and they would do them in New York. So because I was in aviation, they figured I had a big marketing budget. They wanted me to sponsor one of these events. And they had one in New York that they invited me to so that I could check it out and see what it was all about with the hopes that I would like it and think it was great and, sponsor the next one. So the networking event for the night was a trip around New York on Malcolm Forbes's yacht.
Oh.
And I said, you know what? Once I get on this yacht, I'm stuck because I can't get off.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be forced to network.
Yes.
So I went to the dock and I got on the boat. And then they said, okay, we're leaving in 5 minutes. And I got off the boat. And I was like, you know what? It's Malcolm Forbes's boat. How can I not go on it? Like just to
Yeah.
do it as a thing, right? Like, I was on Malcolm Forbes's yacht. It's crazy. So I got back on the boat and I
How
ended up
many people
standing.
have that chance, right?
I ended up standing in the corner for about 20 minutes. And I noticed I was standing next to this guy who was probably standing there for just as long as me. And I'm like, hey, he's like, hey, I'm like, you don't know anybody either? He's like, no. I said, what are you supposed to do with these things? And we started talking about how we didn't love networking. And before you know it, we had a group of 10 people talking about how they didn't like networking.
Like
and
networking.
then someone came over and said, well, I love networking. Let me give you all some pointers. So we did like an on-the-fly class on networking. And I ended up going around the boat talking to people. And I ended up talking to a very nice gentleman who I had no idea who he was. I was talking to him for about an hour. He was so smart and so interesting. And the boat pulled into the dock. I said, well, it was nice meeting you. I hope we could keep in touch. He says, yeah, me too. He says, I don't even know your name. I said, my name is Jeffrey. He said, I'm Wally. I said, hey, Wally, where do you work? And he started laughing. And he said, I work at Forbes. I said, what do you do there? He said, well, I run an investor's newsletter that goes out once a week to 20,000 investors. I said, wow, you must be really smart. That's an important job. He says, well, I don't know how smart I am. I got the job from my brother. I told him, who's your brother? He said, Malcolm. I said,
Malcolm Forbes.
Malcolm
Wally
Forbes. He goes, yes.
You're
I said,
talking to
you're
Wally
Wally Forbes? Wallace Forbes. We ended up friends for years. I felt terrible. He passed away a couple of years ago. I miss him. This was 10 years ago. Once a year for about 4 or 5 years, once or twice a year, we would meet up for lunch. and talk about business and the economy. And he was such a wonderful person. But he was actually the first person I ever met networking.
Wow. That is such an amazing story. And what are the chances? It's probably best that you didn't know who he was, for the first part of that
I would have been
conversation.
nervous. I would have gone over to him.
Wow.
Awesome.
That is awesome. So speaking of networking and speaking of New York, Mark has a fantastic cocktail. Can you tell us about what you put together?
I just wanted on that. I would sort of follow up real quick, though. That was really interesting story about Malcolm Forbes, and then tell my Warren Buffett story.
Oh, you one up me. Was it Warren's brother?
No, it was actually Warren Buffett. When I was crew chief actually early in my career, and it was before Warren Buffett had bought literally the oldest Challenger, one of the oldest Challengers in the fleet. It had been sitting in Saudi Arabia just sitting for like 2 years. And previously, I'd worked on it while it was in warranty with Pepsi. Pepsi had owned it before that. So he bought it for like $3 or $4 million. And then my crew, we did all the maintenance. We brought it back, and then that was his main aircraft. So the chief of maintenance, we got along really good. He was in Omaha, where my parents are, or were. My mom's still there. And then he said, "Hey, I need a vacation, and I've talked to the VP of Bombardier here in Hartford, and we want you to come out and take care of the airplane for a week." And I was like, "Okay." And he said, "Then you can visit, you can visit family and blah, blah, blah." So anyway, when I got out there, they go, "Yeah, well, the airplane's got a trip and you got to go."
Okay.
So that aircraft, his old 600 that he had at the time, the jump seat was not rated for takeoff. So I had to sit in the back behind Warren Buffett. And I looked and did not know who he was. I had no idea.
How long ago was it? This is probably a while ago.
This
is probably a while ago.
Oh yeah. I'm dating myself.
Well, he's gotten a lot more famous since. I don't think there's anyone on the planet that would recognize him today.
That's true.
Late 80s, early 90s. So I'm sitting behind Warren Buffett.
Yeah, that was about 30 billion ago.
Yeah, about 30 billion. They said, "Do not talk to him." I go, "Well, whatever. I don't care." And so I opened up. I brought a USA Today with me, and I opened it. I'm going through my papers, sitting behind Warren Buffett while he was going through his newspapers. And he would have a stack of papers, and he would go through all these papers, then fold it and put it in the trash, just one at a time, each page, a trash can, and his phone. And so I'm reading USA Today behind Warren Buffett, and I go in the business section. There was a half-page article on Warren Buffett.
Of course.
So anyway.
Wow, what are the chances?
Was he nice?
But it was a fun one.
Was he nice?
I was told not to talk to him, but yeah, he was.
I have no idea.
It's so aggravating when they're like, "Oh, don't talk to me." What am I going to do? Like,
the chief pilot was a bodybuilder, and
yeah, I listened to him too.
So he said,
he needs to get beat up on a private jet.
Right.
Yeah.
Not a good environment.
I was not going to talk to him. But on the flight back, they made the bed for him in the back, and then I sat up on the jump seat. And he came up and got his snacks, and he was very friendly. We did talk. It was pretty cool. It was like
he seems like a very nice person.
Yeah, pretty interesting.
Yeah.
But anyway, that reminded me of that story.
Right. So let's get to the alcohol.
All right. Today's cocktail we've named it the Afterburner.
Okay.
What's in it?
It's a variant of a cosmopolitan.
Okay.
So it has 4 ounces of the best vodka you can buy.
Wow,
Which
that's a
is?
lot of vodka.
Yeah. Or whichever is your favorite.
4 ounces. That's like half a bottle.
Yeah, well, you can cut it in half if you want.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
2 ounces of Grand Marnier. 2 ounces of triple sec. 6 to 8 ounces of lime juice. And cranberry juice to taste. And you put it in a cocktail shaker with ice and put it into your favorite martini glass with a little bit of lime for garnish.
Or if I
And
have
that
Grand
makes
Marnier,
more
I have
than one,
triple
right?
sec.
Yeah, that makes
Well,
more than one, right, Mark?
I made this. I mean, that's like a jug, or that's a drink. It's like a big gulp.
This is my favorite martini glass.
Okay.
Wow. So how many martinis did you get out of that recipe?
That one.
You get about, I would guess, one big one.
Oh, wow.
No, I'd say about 2 or 3.
Okay.
Yes,
Two.
it's four. It's four. The total is 14 ounces.
There you go. Yeah, that's
So
a
typical
party drink.
martini is usually 3.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So you get like 4.
Four.
4 healthy pours. All right. We have 2 minutes to go get this stuff. I think I have everything. I don't know about the Grand Marnier, but let me find out. Don't go anywhere.
All right.
You can pause this, right?
Yep.
Yes, we can pause this.
Okay, hold on. Is there anything I could substitute for the Grand Marnier?
Just leave it out.
Okay.
Lime juice and cranberry, triple sec. You don't need
I'm leaving out the cranberry juice. So I'm gonna do lime, triple sec, and vodka.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Grand Marnier is a little bit of
the triple sec I'm using is called dry curacao.
Wow.
Which is very hard to find, but it's triple sec.
I was going to say, I haven't seen that one. You probably have things in New York that we don't have in Salt Lake City.
I told you I'm a semi-professional mixologist, so I have a pretty well stocked. Grand Marnier, you caught me sleeping. All right, let me get some. I need some vodka and lime juice. Hold on.
Jeff's going to do a cooking show for us. This is going to be fun. I don't think we've ever had a guest actually dig out their booze before, but maybe that's something we should do.
Yeah. Well, Jeremy did in our first podcast.
That's true. He did.
He made his also.
Yeah. We talk about a master networker.
Yeah.
Somebody that can make friends really easily, and that's
my buddy Joe. Oh no, I think we did. No, he was having us. He did. Well, he had his cigar. He was a cigar guy, so he had
the cigar. Yep.
I like the Grand Marnier after steak.
Yeah.
After dinner, and if you're
get some
networking or socializing, you can have a Grand Marnier.
So instead of the Grand Marnier, I could either use Cointreau.
Yeah.
I think this will probably be better instead of the Grand Marnier.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, it might be even better than Grand Marnier. It's too bad you guys can't taste these in the same room so you can taste each other's and see which one is better.
I'm going to mail it.
Do a cocktail off.
Yeah, send it to Paula, and then we can.
Right. Do a
and then we're going to do triple sec.
All right.
1 ounce.
Yeah, don't send it to me. I'm in Las Vegas for the convention, so it will not get there.
I'm sure you are surrounded by alcohol.
I am surrounded by alcohol. That's true. I could buy any of this stuff probably here.
What kind of glass do you serve it in? A martini glass?
Yeah.
All right. Well done.
there at the MBAA.
Mm-hmm. Yep, this is the fabulous Marriott in fabulous Las Vegas.
Okay, I thought you had changed your office.
No, this is a hotel room.
They're not going to do that in Florida anymore, you said, huh?
No, they're not. Next 5 years will be in Las Vegas.
Is John there? Did John from the did John show up?
Yeah, we did an interview with him yesterday.
Okay.
I got to send him a copy of an engagement letter he was wanting.
I'm going to use a coupe because my coupe holds more than my martini glasses. My martini glasses are exactly 3 ounces.
Okay. Yeah, they have this a bunch of different booze shops here. You know, there's a Lee's Discount Liquor that has really funny. Oh, wow. It looks beautiful.
Here we go.
Yeah. Mark, show yours. What does yours look like? I think Jeff shook his more, but yours has been sitting for a bit. So
it's very good.
Is it good?
Very nice.
Great.
Nice and lemony.
All right.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to be in a good mood for the rest of the day.
Excellent.
Your Afterburner. You're ready to go.
There's your Afterburner. All right.
Sure am. Nice.
You know what? If you guys both send me your recipes, I will print them both in the show notes for this episode so that people can try Mark's version versus Jeff's version and vote.
Little contest. I like it.
Exactly. That'll be fun.
Well, let me know if I won.
I will do that. Absolutely. So we'll just wrap up really quickly. I'm Paula Williams, ABCI. We help aviation companies sell more of their products and services, and we enjoy networking and cocktails as well.
So Paula, what do you do exactly?
We do marketing for aviation companies,
like
aviation companies only. So I came from the finance industry and did websites, brochures, postcards, social media, digital marketing, anything that aviation companies need. But we only do aviation companies. So
got it.
It's a lot more fun than the finance industry, I have to tell you that.
I'll send you a picture.
Yeah. Mark, do you want to go next?
Yep. Yep. And just like through Paula is a aviation marketing genius. So pretty amazing. And anyway, it's Mark Perry with Global Aircraft Group, certified aircraft appraisals, expert witness, maintenance, oversight, also insurance adjusting, the organization of flying adjusters, and I'm also a master appraiser with the organization of flying adjusters.
Awesome. And I'm Jeffrey Menaged from Chief Executive Air. I help people buy and sell planes. I also do whole aircraft management, charters, aviation consulting. You have a plane, you want to know if it's running right, call me, I'll tell you.